A happy Saturday afternoon or morning if you're in the West to each and every one of you. This is Your Questions, Your Money here on the Fox Business Network. I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Tracy Burns. And in this hour, we focus on that entrepreneurial spark you've got. So pick up the phone and call us, 877-249-9626. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
Owning, running, growing your own business, making it a fabulous success. That's what my next guest did. He grew up in a meat and potatoes home in the 1950s, and now he is making his fortune selling what he calls meat that you can feel good about. Stephen McDonald is the founder and CEO of Applegate Farms. Steve, it's great of you to be here. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You actually, and you can just, as we talk about the business, describe what you sell, but it is natural and organic. Hot dogs, meat products, turkey, you have frozen foods, you have cheese. But you, 1987, you'd worked in the corporate world, and you came across a business, and you bought it, and this is what you've turned it into.
I know it's been a crazy year. It's 22 years in the making. Started it really from nothing, and feel very lucky that we've had 22 great years to grow the business, and looking forward to many more.
But I love that it started with bacon, right? It really did. It started with bacon. Right. You're a meat and potatoes guy. You wanted to eat bacon. And I love that you actually said, wouldn't it be great if you weren't afraid to look at the ingredients in a hot dog? I am mortified. I won't do it. I serve them to my children, but I will not look in the ingredients.
Well, we look forward to taking that fear out of buyers, because a hot dog is America's favorite food,
right.
But it's also something that they're nervous and worried about what's in it and how it's made. And we feel a hot dog can be made with sustainable meat, with no preservatives or additives unnecessary, and you can feel great about having a healthy hot dog that can still be your favorite food.
I want to hear more about your story, though, because you came across what attracted you to nitrate-free bacon, and how did you come across what was the Jugtown Smokehouse, was it not, which was kind of the precursor to Applegate Farms?
Yeah, the original business that I bought from a guy named Hy Ely in 1987 was called Jugtown Mountain Smokehouse, and they were doing a nitrate-free bacon, and I bought the company, and it was about 130% LBO. It was right before the 1987 crash, when there was still credit. And my history was, as you pointed out, in the 1950s, meat and potatoes, Irish Catholic family, 9 kids. Every Sunday night we'd have a big roast beef on the table. I went to college in the early 70s, went to a hippie school, Hampshire College.
Everybody, that's a real hippie school.
Very hippie school. Everybody,
no classes or grades.
Exactly. Everybody. That's why I loved it, because as an entrepreneur, most of us are pretty ADHD, and structure is not what we do well with. So I tried that; it didn't work. And there, everybody was into natural foods. So I went to school with the guy who now runs Gary Hirschberg, who runs Stonyfield Yogurt, and Jeffrey Hollander, who started a company called Seventh Generation, which does a lot of natural, healthy green products. So there was a whole movement going on. I tried to become a vegetarian. Did not work. I have meat cut into my DNA. And so how do you reconcile the benefits of healthy eating with all the negatives that you get with meat? And so when I found this little company making nitrate-free bacon, I was like, this merges the perfect two things for me. The problem was, it kind of, Jugtown Mountain Smokehouse as a name kind of sounded like we were distilling booze in the west of New Jersey. And I think people on the Upper West Side of New York appreciate it. A lot of other people were kind of put off and couldn't understand it. So we renamed it, named after a small farm not far from where I live in Bucks County, and we started Applegate Farms.
But you were really ahead of the curve with this. Like, it's only as of late that this whole notion of organic, nitrate-free products has really taken off. What did you see in it back then that made you want to pretty much give up everything you had and dive right into it?
Well, I'll tell you what I didn't see. I was single at the time, and walking to a party and saying that you're in the meat business in 1987 was about the worst thing you could do if you wanted to were interested in dating. So for me, it was I love things counterintuitively. The fact that everybody was moving towards health made sense, but a lot of my friends were doing the yogurts and the normal thing, and nobody was in the meat sector. And the meat sector is a $40 billion space. It's the largest piece of the plate is the meat. And I think the vegetarians were right. What they were trying to say is, don't eat this unsustainable meat. Eat healthier meat if you're going to have any meat at all, and eat less of it. So we're kind of a pro-vegetarian meat company. We just say life's too short not to have bacon in your spinach salad. So
Heck yeah.
Right. You can't, most of us can't be that perfect where we do everything right. So, but you can do it responsibly. And if you eat less, you're eating a better balance. You're eating more fruits. You're eating more vegetables, more grains, and enjoying a higher quality, sustainable meat. So it all kind of made sense to me.
Better than doing those tofu turkeys and that kind of weirdo, I can't do it. I have cousins that are vegetarians. They eat crazy stuff. Crazy.
We're talking to Stephen McDonald. He is the founder and CEO of Applegate Farms. You've probably eaten his products, certainly seen them on store shelves, but he's here to tell his story about how he got into this business and how he is growing it right now. But it's approaching that time, 6 minutes after the hour. And time to welcome our listeners on Sirius XM Radio. I'm Dagan McDowell along with Tracy Burns. This is Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network.
And you can call us, ask us anything, 877-249-96. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. And I love the notion that you can actually read the ingredients on the hot dog and not care so much. Because my kid, we eat this. Cold cuts, hot dogs. This is the stuff that kids eat. And especially when you're pregnant, you realize you shouldn't be eating things high in nitrates. That's actually how I've stumbled across your stuff back when I was pregnant. Because the nitrates are just not good for you.
I think you should give tours of the facility so people can see how the products are made.
Yeah. Well, one of the most moving things that you can do is we support 300 individual family farms all across America. And when you go onto those farms and meet those families that are working hard using tried and true practices that has been in farming for years, but also the best of modern technology, it's really moving to see their commitment. And the reality is, if you do it properly, you don't need to take the shortcuts. The shortcuts were always done to kind of either cheapen the product or to create a much higher volume. But if your goal is to have a little bit less but make it better, you don't have to cut the corners. And if you have less, it doesn't have to cost you more.
How are you growing right now? How is business? Where are the growth areas that you're focused on?
Well, prior to, the almost meltdown of last year, we were growing at about 20%, and now we're growing at about 10%. So we're still growing, which in today's world we feel very fortunate and lucky. We don't feel moms are going to stop feeding their children healthy food or food that they believe in, irregardless of the economy. So I think we're in a lucky position, being a little more resistant to this tide that we're in. So the growth will be much more now into mainstream. All the Whole Foods and the Trader Joe's, the kind of the alternate channels our natural channels, all have these type of products. But it's really trying to bring a healthy, organic hot dog to the middle of America that we're really excited about.
And you got the CEO of Whole Foods ready to focus back on their basics rather than prepared food as much, going back to healthier eating and trying to fight obesity in this country, frankly. But we want to bring in our panel as well of people who are here to answer your questions about your business. Our venture capitalist this hour is Becca Braun, president of Jumpstart Ventures. Becca, good to see you again as always. And here, thankfully, every week, John Rutledge is here with Rutledge Capital, coming to us from Washington, D.C. Not lobbying, I don't think, for anything, because the lawmakers are gone, which makes it a fun time down there in D.C. And Dani Babb, of course, with the Babb Group, is in studio. And Steve McDonald, who is sticking around for this entire hour of Applegate Farms. We're excited for everybody to be here. Dani, you've been sitting here listening. What do you make of Steve's story?
I think that it was perfectly timed. I think that you went after a specific passion that you had, which is probably what fed your success. I'm really interested in how you're handling the credit side of today's market, even despite the growth. Interested in how you see some of the things that are coming down the pipeline affecting your business. But I think overall your story is one of passion and commitment, and that is really the bottom line of what it takes for entrepreneurs to be successful. So congratulations to you.
How is the credit side affecting you?
Well, we don't really get involved with credit. We work with independent farmers, and we also work with different processors. So we set protocols and set third-party audits, so they grow to our standards. So we actually only bring in exactly what we're selling. So our unique attribute is we grow everything to sell. We don't have inventories of stuff sitting on the shelf waiting to go out. So we run things very tightly. So, and our business from a cash flow perspective, is very steady. People are buying hot dogs moms are buying them pretty much all year long. So there's not a lot of credit demand, and as long as we manage our inventories properly, it's not an issue for us,
but
fortunately.
What if you want to expand into some new area and you do need the money? You're just using your own cash flow to do that?
Yes, we're funding it internally. We do have a line because our balance sheet is in good shape with the bank, but actually I've never, in 22 years, I've actually never invested any money. I've always funded it internally.
So has the ownership structure changed at all since you started the business?
Well, Chris Ely, whose dad I bought the business from, I gave him a small percentage, and we just brought in some private equity who was a guy who runs a company. He's a friend of mine, and they bought a small piece just because my wife was getting nervous. I'm 54, and she wanted to know there was some. We had everything invested in this all the time. So now we have a little bit on the side, so we don't have to worry about that. And we are going through a transition. We're bringing in a president. I formed a board. We issued some options, so we are going to go to the next level, and they are kind of saying, this may take some money to grow, but we feel if we do it intelligently, we can mostly do it internally.
John Rutledge, I'm curious to get your reaction to this, because he's in a very great position in terms of an entrepreneur and business owner.
It's great. It's a wonderful story. As Dani said, passion is what it's about. But I really like Steve telling us we don't get involved with credit. That's a quote that everybody should write on their wall, because credit sometimes is easy. Later on, it'll cut your legs off. I just got the best business advice I've seen in a long time from the person here in the studio doing the makeup, who had started a business and closed it. She said the secret is to start as small as possible and don't take other people's money.
You didn't have to do that, right? Go ahead.
No, I really agree with that. I think businesses, when you toss an idea in the desert and let it sit out there for a long period of time, if it's meant to exist, it will find its way. And the DNA that gets created through that struggle makes a business create an identity and a focus and a purpose. And a lot of times money obstructs that. In the early stages. I don't think it's what's critical. I agree. It's more passion.
Fascinating statistic. As much as credit, I'm actually pro credit, but interestingly, counter to my own opinion, I learned an interesting statistic, and that is that for every $1,000 you take in credit card money to finance your business, you have a 2% greater risk every year for the first 5 years of failure. So there is a direct correlation between borrowing money on credit and failure in a significant way.
How did I know you would have this?
But we are seeing credit, thankfully, I think, although Jerry said that a lot of it has to do with people being maxed out, but credit is pulling back. Outstanding credit, that is. People are going to cash, using the money they have, saving more. I mean, I think this whole thing in the end is going to make the whole economy better.
And we will find out about funding from Becca Braun when we come back as well. 2 hours, well, an hour and 45 minutes to answer your questions about your business. You can call or email.
877-249-9626 is the phone number. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. We got a lot more coming up on the only business network that's up and having fun on a Saturday afternoon on the East Coast, morning on the West Coast. We'll be right back.
One day you will find out.
Welcome back. Happy Saturday. Your questions, your money. We're going to go straight to the phones. We got Phil on the phone from Jersey. Hey, Phil, what's up?
How you doing?
What's your question?
I'm calling because I came from the Jugtown, Mountain, New Jersey area. I used to drive past that business before he bought it. But my big question is, an entrepreneurial enterprise, I'm so concerned about the sacrifice. I've got 4 kids. I'm in my middle 40s. Is this thing going to take over my life? And how do you balance life with starting a business? The first several years have to be such a sacrifice. What suggestions can you give?
That is a great question, because every entrepreneur we talk to says their entire life is focused on the business in the beginning.
Yeah, the only answer I have is I hope you married a great woman, because it is all about sacrifice. I mean, for the first 10 years, really for the last 22 years, I feel like I had 2 jobs and I could barely think or breathe. it's enormous. I didn't start making any money, or any money we did make in the first couple of years always went back into the business. So with 4 kids, it's tough. You're working on it 24/7. The kids need a lot of attention. I mean, my wife has been a saint and allowing me to pursue this, and it's tough. It's all about sacrifice.
But did you ever think for a second, I just can't do this? I can't do it anymore?
Yeah, half the time.
Really?
Half the
what
time.
kept you
It
going?
was split 50-50. I would
talk
have
about-
one good day, and I was like, this is totally worth it, and the next day would be a disaster, and I was like, I got to get out of here.
We talk a lot about the fire and the spark, but ultimately, is that what kept you going?
Well, it is for me. I was a terrible student. I mean, a D- was like a great grade for me. I just was not good in academics. What I found out is that when I own something and I'm responsible for it, and my neck is on the line, I get smart very fast. So it was just, and once you find that, and once you do that, there was really not an option to turn around, because that's your passion. Once you find it, you can't give it up.
Danny, what keeps you going? You've been in and out of multitude of businesses.
Well, my first one, I was 16 years old, in high school full-time, in college part-time. I had a full-time day job, and I had started a business on the side. And it was completely exhausting. And to be honest with you, what I cut out was sleep. I had insomnia anyway, so sleep was the obvious thing to cut out. But, you know, today, I'm obviously in a little bit different position where I'm trying to have a little bit more life balance. That's exceedingly tough. Most people that I know have a laptop. In fact, I've worked with entrepreneurs that I've set up part of their kitchen as part of their new home-based business, and they've got a laptop there to be able to at least answer questions and fulfill orders and so on very quickly. But technology has really helped us, I think, maintain a balance. But at the same time, what am I sitting here with? You know, the trio in case something urgent comes in on commercial break. So you just learn, I think, to balance all of that sort of thing. And like you're talking about, having family and friends that are supportive and understand where you're coming from. It's like I tell my doctoral students when they're working on their dissertations, your family and friends need to buy into what you're doing, know how important it is to you. And to be honest with you, the ones that haven't, they've gotten the boot. And that's a hard line, but sometimes that's what it takes.
Becca, do you have that kind of sacrifice, and do you demand it from any company that you invest with?
We don't talk a lot about the sacrifice, but I would say that I just completely agree that it really is about the spouse and the family and making sure that you get their buy-in. I mean, when the husband or wife is at home making hot dog casserole, hopefully organic hot dog casserole, but hot dog casserole for the 10th time, and mom or dad is late coming home and everything else, it's really important that you have had those conversations in advance so they understand to some extent. They can never be prepared fully for what entrepreneurship entails. The other thing you can do is sometimes you can bring a spouse into the business. That becomes more of a family-owned business type of concept. It can work. We have seen it work, not typically at venture-backed businesses, but at family-owned businesses, you do see that work.
John, I wrote a blog recently when I came back from vacation with my family. I wrote a blog that what spurred it was vacations are still foreign to me because my parents ran a family business together, and we simply never took one my entire childhood. And it is that kind of commitment that people make when they run, own, or start their own business.
That's really true, Dagan. You know, when you start your own business, there's nobody behind you when you look over your shoulder that's going to pull you out of the fire. It's just you. And like Steve, I've many times late at night thought, you know, is it worth it? Do I need to do something else? And then I think, I am not going to give up. And it's just refusing to fail is a lot of it. These stories are why it's so important to me that we help people understand the courage of small business owners. Small business owners in America, at least in public, don't get the respect they deserve. They make all the jobs. They make most of the tax revenue. They stay up 24 hours a day responsible for their companies. And so I really love the people who call in and ask us questions. It's tough, but boy, you don't have anyone that you answer to except all of your customers.
Right. Viewers can read my blog in the small business section on the Fox Business website because it's really about how small business owners and entrepreneurs, they don't catch a break in this country, and it's disgraceful that the government doesn't try more to help them. Instead, they're just getting in the way and throwing up roadblocks.
Well, I think it's because the government doesn't understand that these small business owners are reporting their businesses on their personal tax returns, and you're taking all their money away by taxing them, which actually, coming up, we have a viewer that wants to know about what tax breaks are offered for small businesses, and we will answer that Coming up on Your Questions, Your Money. Keep those calls and emails coming.
We do have some breaking news to bring you. This is a live shot of the Hudson River off the west side of Manhattan, New York City. There are reports of a chopper, a helicopter, down in the Hudson River near 14th Street. Police saying that a helicopter has crashed in the Hudson River off of Manhattan's west side. Now, bystanders are reporting that 2 helicopters collided in midair. But again, bystanders reporting that debris fields are all over the water and on the street on the Jersey side, New Jersey side of the Hudson. But again, a chopper is down in the Hudson River off of Manhattan's west side. And there are reports, this is according to WNYW here in New York City, that one person was pulled out and taken to the South Side Pier 40 via a rescue boat. But we will bring you more news as we get it. But again, that's a live look at the Hudson River off of Manhattan's west side, where at least one chopper, according to reports, has gone down in the river. There's also, it's worth noting, there is a helipad off of the west side there, in the West 30s near the Jacob Javits Center. But again, if you stand on the Hudson River on the west side of Manhattan, you see the heavy helicopter traffic that goes up and down the west side for a variety of reasons: business purposes, sightseeing tours, police helicopters, traffic helicopters. But it is a very, very busy sky above the Hudson.
They saw it from the Jersey side, and from the Jersey side, you really can see the activity, how much helicopter activity takes place going up and down the Hudson River.
We're trying to get a closer look of what's going on there. We will bring you up to date on that when we get more information and get a clearer picture of what has really happened. But right now, we want to get back to business. Your business, growing it, making it a fantastic success. And Jeff has called in from Texas. Jeff, what do you want to know? Go ahead.
Well, following up on what you said about the business owners, small business owners not getting any breaks. I've been a small business owner for 30 years, and I'm on my 12th startup company. And, you know, it seems unrealistic to me that small business owners create jobs, but there's no really tax incentive or break for the small business guy. We take all the risk, and then if we make it past that critical mark and our business becomes successful, as we're operating the business, we're taxed at the same rate, you know, the high income rate, that the guy that sat in the air-conditioned office on Wall Street, with all due respect, never took any risk and is taxed at the same rate. So it just doesn't equate to me. I believe, and I've written my congressman, but there's nobody that speaks up for small business, unfortunately. But I've written my congressman in Texas and said, why don't you tax founders and original investors in small business at the tax rate you do on capital gains? Because that's really what it is. It's a capital gain. We're taking some of the capital back out. But, you know, nobody listens. We're kind of shouting against thunder, as they say.
Jeff, do you want to know just what breaks are out there, and also what might be coming down the road in terms of help rather than hurt?
Yes. In fact, my partner and I, we're negotiating for the first time in our life since this last election to actually, I'm 61 years old, and we're probably going to be selling our business just because of the fact that we don't know what's coming down the road. If they're going to hike income tax, you know, up to the 50 plus, which they're talking about doing, it's really not worth it for us to continue, you know, the risk of litigation that you have as a business owner. You know, the government controls everything you do, so they're kind of driving us out of business, basically.
Right.
John, we've heard these stories before where people are actually going to close up shop because of the unknown factor. Especially if this health care reform comes through, we're going to see small businesses getting crushed with this so-called surtax. And to his point, they report everything on their tax return. They don't get a lot of breaks. Going forward, it just sounds like things are just going to get worse for these guys.
It's unbelievable. It makes me so damn mad. You know, I'm sitting here 2 blocks from the only whorehouse in America that loses money. The problem is, these guys, the problem is not that members of Congress don't know these things. These facts have been shoved in their face over and over again. The problem is that small business does not have a good lobby group that can push through legislation like that. 80% of the tax revenues collected at the top rate are collected from small business owners. And as Jeff said, that small business owner is really being taxed on the capital to start his business. So we've got to find a way to get the small business owner the respect that they deserve. And Jeff's quote, "It is not worth it." I hope somebody's out there listening. Without those small businesses, the rest of this country is going to collapse like a house of cards.
Danny, I mean, one of the options, I guess, is to file as a C Corp, and then your business is taxed entirely separately from you off your personal tax return. Not that the corporate tax rate's any lower.
Right, well, that's exactly the point. I mean, since it's really not lower, you don't have many options, but sometimes pass-through income, if you've got a spouse, for example, on a W-2 or in their own small business that's losing money, or if you have rental properties, you can actually use the 2 businesses to help offset one another. So that's one of the only things I think you can do. If the new tax structure comes through, the first $2 out of $3 that a small business earns will be paid to the government in taxes. And I think what happens,
you're talking about taxing health, the health benefits,
and also the additional,
higher, right, the surtax on wealthier Americans and small business.
Exactly. You know, one of the issues here is that people don't realize the Small Business Administration may define a small business as 500 employees or less, but the truth is that 37% of the nation, 42 million workers, are employed in companies where there's 100 workers or less. And I don't know anyone who's ever been employed by a poor person. So we're attacking the so-called rich, but the rich, 250,000 in most states is not rich today, are the ones actually providing the jobs.
We got to just take a quick break. More answers to your questions ahead. We'll be right back.
Coolest graphic on the whole network. Welcome back. This is Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Time for the pitch.
Woohoo!
Our entrepreneur is bringing an eBay style of shopping to buying groceries and food. Joining us is Tom Soren. He is the president of Gourmet Food Auction. He's here to tell not just us about your idea, but Becca Braun, our VC, is listening. So, Tom, go ahead. Pitch away. Becca's listening.
Okay. We are the eBay of food. We have an auction style of everything from regular chicken breasts to exotic game, elk, buffalo, infused oils, to caviar, to pastas, sausage, venison with blueberries. You go in and the consumer has a choice of either placing a bid for an auction, either buying it now, or placing an offer for an auction. It's just not gourmet food. It is everything from your common steaks to chicken breasts to the wild game meats. There are more people eating at home today than ever before because of the economy. Sales of game have been up 150% between 2003 and 2007 in supermarkets and retail locations. And the advantage of wild game meats is 2% low fat. It would take a 6-ounce steak to feel as full as a 12-ounce beef steak. We warehouse everything. We take everything into our own warehouse. There is no shipping charge. If you win 1 to 5 auctions, maybe more than that, it all comes in one box. It's free shipping. We offer 10% cash rebate at the end of the month. On whatever the consumer buys, they get a gift card on the 15th following the following month in the mail of a cash rebate of everything they bought. We feel that the market is ripe for the consumer to pay a fair price and not an exorbitant price for the product. We are looking at manufacturers, we're looking at overstocks, we're looking at the market as a whole, that we are offering to buy from manufacturers their excess production. Distributors, their excess inventory we are offering for sale on Gourmet Food Auction.
Becca, go ahead, ask him.
That's really it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Becca, go ahead. Just feel free to ask him questions.
Great. Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate the pitch. And first of all, I want to go on your site and get some gourmet food. You made me hungry. It's lunchtime here. So, so great pitch. Thank you. My first question is really tell me more about the customers for this. First of all, how many do you have? How long have you been doing this? And what's their repeat behavior, their kind of loyalty? Why are they coming to your site? Are they getting that? And are you seeing that in terms of them coming back time and time and time again so that you have a repeat factor there?
Well, it's an interesting question. The repeat factor, we had the site up in 2005 and took it down because of personal reasons, relaunched it, and we had approximately 200 people that have signed up for the site. When people come onto the site, they are either going to find what they're looking for, or they're going to send us an email or call and say, can you get foie gras? Can you get boneless turtle? Can you get soft-shell crabs? And we'll make every effort in the world to get exactly what they're looking for and post an auction up there to meet their needs. It was almost a cult following. The people almost felt like they knew us and would either send an email and ask specifically for a product. And so the repeat business is there. People love what we have to offer. It's all in one location. You don't have to search the web for one particular item and incur various shipping charges. It's all in one location. Our biggest hurdle right now is getting the word out who we are and what we do.
Becca, can you give him a verdict?
I think it's a very nice product, and I didn't hear about how he's trying to finance this, but I think it's a very nice product. I'm wondering why he doesn't have just a pure catalog, or maybe you do have a pure catalog, Tom, but I think that's my biggest thing, is that I would think auctions are nice, but most people don't do auctions. They like to buy from catalogs as opposed to auctions online, especially the consumer. So what I would say is promote that catalog side as well. Go out and sell and market this and try to be the place for catalog and online auction for gourmet foods. But it sounds like a neat idea, Tom.
He's looking for $200,000. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yes, $200,000, $100,000 for marketing, $5,000 for a product that we're trying to bring to market, which is a New York cheesecake slice dipped in a ganache of chocolate frozen on a stick, and the third is working capital.
Okay, good. For $200,000, I would think friends, family, maybe some angel investors around you is a great way to try to go, and possibly some kind of a partnership with a strategic, whether there are any online catalogs, who could help provide you with a little bit of working capital or a partnership that provides some benefits for you.
Okay.
All right, Tom, thank you so much for being here. Tom Soren, gourmetfoodauction.com is the company. Tom, the best of luck to you. And listen up if you can. After the break, we'll get Steve, who's sitting here, to respond. But we just need to go to a quick break. Tom, thank you so much. Again.
Thank you.
But a quick update, some breaking news on the mid-air collision over the Hudson River. Police and the Coast Guard confirming that a small plane and a helicopter, a chopper, have collided over the Hudson River that separates Manhattan from the state of New Jersey. Witnesses saying that the accident happened near Hoboken, New Jersey. Both aircraft crashing into the water. Emergency crews are on the scene, but we are getting confirmation. Again, reports initially were very mixed about what happened, but now we know a small plane and a helicopter colliding over the Hudson River off the west side of Manhattan, New York City, apparently near Hoboken, New Jersey. We will bring you up to date. But again, emergency crews are on the scene.
And we do know that one person was pulled to safety at this point.
It was a sighting that one person was pulled out of the water, according to observers. But again, anybody who's ever stood on the west side of Manhattan, on the Hudson, or even on the New Jersey side, knows how much air traffic there is over the Hudson, particularly helicopter traffic. But again, a small plane and a helicopter colliding over the Hudson River, both aircraft in the water, crashing into the water.
This is exactly where the crash was last year already, right?
Of the U.S. Airways crash.
Yes, last year. My goodness.
Absolutely. We'll bring you more when we find out, more detail when we get it.
We'll be right back. Give us a call. We're still taking calls, emails. We got an hour and 20 minutes, 877-249-9626, or email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. We'll be right back.
True, false time. You ready?
Uh-oh.
So this past week, users of the popular site Twitter may have found it difficult to keep up with the latest party tweets posted by Uber tweeter Ashton Kutcher, who's followed by about
major withdrawal going on out there.
3 million followers. But thousands of businesses now also use Twitter as a new form of communication and marketing. And they were equally dismayed by the site outage. Facebook also took a hit, among other sites. Now, the possible culprits are hackers and computer villains, possibly originating in Russia, trying to shut down just one blogger in Georgia. That's the former Soviet state, not the setting of the Dukes of Hazzard. It's called a denial of service attack. And this attack, they are orchestrated with thousands of computers being hijacked and used as slaves to attack a computer network all at once. As one blogger noted, it's a bit like 15 fat men trying to get through a revolving door all at the same time. Nothing can move. So this attack was not the first and will not be the last by computer-savvy chaos seekers. So let's take a look at some of history's most famous computer attacks. Some true, some false.
I got to say first, though, Twitter's not really working well yet, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's not fixed.
And Dani Babb is our resident
Twitter.
No, and tech geek. Come on, you're a dork, like the rest of us. So she'll participate.
All right, good.
The first distributed denial of service attack took place in February of 2000 and took down many top sites for hours, like Yahoo, eBay, and Amazon. True or false?
I don't know why I remember this, but I think it's true.
It is true.
Yes.
Ding dong. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Back in the
I was sitting next to you during this.
That's right. When we were working at thestreet.com. That's right. Back in the golden age of web hijinks, the New York Times site was partially defaced by a vandal named Splurge, replacing some pages with, quote, "Well, I'm sorry to say, but you just got smoked by Splurge." True or false?
False.
It's true. It was a duo. It was a duo called the Smoked Crew. That is true. In 1999, a group of hackers took over the White House website and posted photos of nearly naked ladies. True or false?
Well, that'd be really fun if it was true.
It's not.
Isn't there a website out there, whitehouse.org? That's
whitehouse.com. It used to be, not
used
anymore.
To be. Say. All right.
Moving on, servers streaming the Victoria's Secret fashion show crashed because of an attack originating in the Balkans, keeping the audience from accessing the lovely ladies marching up and down the catwalk. True or false?
True.
False. You remember this, Dani? The servers collapsed because they were overloaded with traffic.
But what was? Is that what it was?
It wasn't a cyber attack.
But I do remember it crashing down.
Maybe Steve will remember this one, because this is about the time that you founded your business. 20 years ago, the first person was indicted for a cybercrime after the first computer worm was unleashed on the internet. True or false?
I would say that's false.
It's true. 20 years ago.
First worm 20 years ago?
Yep. It was the first worm.
Was there a web?
Was there an internet?
Yes, there was.
Yeah, there was.
Right. It was called, the beginning of it was actually called the ARPANET, but that's a whole other story. But yes, it's been around for many.
Robert Morse, the creator of the Morris worm, and he now teaches at MIT. He did not go to jail for that, by the way. One last thing. Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, started out building boxes that could bypass telephone switching mechanisms of the day to make free long-distance phone calls.
That's true.
That is true. Back when long-distance calls were very, very expensive. So
he is
famous
you could
entrepreneur,
see his brain working when you talk to him. There's just like lightning coming out of it. You could see he's ready to hack the next something.
So many greats in American business have some questionable starts.
They do, and you know it's a very good idea if you're running an internet business to make sure that your hosting company uses an intrusion detection system. They used to cost actually in the beginning hundreds of thousands, are now a couple of $1,000s that help you keep it sort of like denial of service attacks. This one on Twitter was actually done by bombarding with fake emails. I mean, give me a break. You know, the system should have been able to handle that. But the other big thing that's been happening a lot, particularly if you say something people don't like, is to be Google bombed. I've been Google bombed every time I've been on Hannity, and they basically hijack your name on Google and they link it to a bunch of things that have viruses. So people Google you and they find that, and a group called Trevera Group, Trevera.com, is able to help with those sorts of things.
Wait. What is that?
Google bombing.
It's called Google bombing.
How come I never heard of it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No one hates me enough yet? Is that what you're saying? Wait, so what happens?
When they hate you enough, then if they don't like what you have to say, then they hijack your name and they basically put it so many times on a page that it becomes the #1 searched item when you type in your name on Google. And then when somebody clicks on the link, they get viruses and they think that you did it to their computer. So you have to go after them like crazy. And unfortunately, Google won't help you unless you're a paid customer. Quick solution to that: become an AdSense customer, pay them $50 a month for Google Ads, and then now they'll help you because you're a customer.
Steve, as you use the internet more and more for marketing and even sales in so many instances, I mean, the troubles that you face and the things you have to think about, they grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with being small. Most of the big guys who I meet like appreciate being small. You don't need to get any bigger.
You're not that small, though.
Yeah,
Steve,
hardly.
In the next hour, we're talking about starting your own business, growing it, running it. So please keep your questions coming. We're going to get to more of them when we come back. 877-249-9626 is the number.
And of course, you could always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com, and you have to run an errand or run out. You can still listen to us on Sirius Channel 145 or XM Channel 168. We'll be right back.
It's true. Baby, if I made you mad for something I might have said, please don't forget my past. The future looks bright ahead. Don't be cruel to who heart is true. I don't want no other love, baby, it's just you.
Happy Saturday! We're still here. Hour and 10 minutes left. We're fired up. We've been talking about this stuff the whole break. And I'm still intrigued by the fact that there was an internet 20 years ago. And a worm in it, no less, too. We're going to jump right to the phones. We got Steve from California. Hey, Steve.
Hi.
What's your question?
Listen, I sold my company a couple of years ago before this financial disaster hit. And I thought I'd just retire. But after a couple of years, that's driving me crazy. But during those 30-plus years I owned my company, I had some really great ideas, but I've never had the time to pursue them. And I'm just wondering from, concept to product and marketing, how that actually works, because I really don't have any idea.
Becca, you want to start with this? You get these germs of an idea into your office, I'm sure, all the time.
Yep. So first I would say ideas are great. It starts with an idea, but I think it was Thomas Edison who said imagination without execution is hallucination. So you definitely have to go from idea, and where the real thing is with the actually going out and just doing it. And I think the hardest step, and you've done it before, so you're in really good shape, but the hardest step is just to go out and whatever the idea is, get a prototype and get a couple of beta customers. First customers who are willing to use your product, give you feedback or your service, and then get going from there. I mean, everything starts small. I think Steve in the studio talked about how his business started small. And so I just start small, get that prototype, get a couple customers, and then market in a very small way just to get those. It's more selling in the early stages of just getting a few more customers after your betas. And then you can go from there.
John?
Well, first of all, Steve, great job on selling your company at the right time. One thing, you could probably buy your business back you sold now for half of what you got when you sold it, because the pricing in the private equity market for small companies has just been destroyed by the credit problems. And but I agree with Becca. Ideas are fine for cocktail parties, but you have to deliver. And since you've actually started businesses, you know how to deliver. And so I just go back at it. There's plenty of resources in the market, but when you do, use other people's money. We had Tom on the show a little while ago talking about how to get his auction products to the market. You can use your customers' money instead of money you raise in the financial markets. You can have them pay you a deposit in the beginning. You can use vendor money if they want to sell something, and you can help them sell it. So there's lots of ways to do that, but just get out there and do it.
Steve, how'd you do it?
I think that's all great advice. I think you can think about something for as long as you want, nothing, and it won't net in anything. You've got to start, and you've got to start engaging, and there's nothing better than a customer to kind of tell you if you're on target or not. So I don't think it's a lot of dollars investing in marketing. I think it's much more get on the street and start making something
What'd you
happen.
do? Walk around and say, you got to try this bacon? It's really good?
I did. I went door to door, customer to customer. I mean, there's a store up here on the west side called Fairways. They finally called me after 2 years and said they would order some smoked turkey. I throw it in the back of my Fiesta. I'm driving it through the Lincoln Tunnel, drop it off. I didn't let it cool properly. They call up the next day and say, get this stuff out of here. It's no good. I drove back in the Honnold Tunnel on Saturday, picked everything and went home, and they didn't let me in the door for 2 years. I mean, I learned something very important.
You were keeping costs down if you were driving a Fiesta, too.
Yeah, it was a low-budget operation.
It's good stuff.
A quick email. Brandon has written in from Colorado. A few weeks ago, you mentioned that if someone was turned down for a business loan, there was a website they could go to where a company guaranteed a loan up to a certain amount. What is the site, Dani?
Yeah, it was up to $25,000, and it was the Fox Valley Micro Loan Fund. And you can check that out. I actually have a link to it on my website, drdanibabb.com. Go to the forums, click on Raising Capital, and there's actually several new websites in there that are loaning peer-to-peer money as well.
Prosper is one, and that's back
Prosper,
up.
Lending Club, Loanio, and there's a bunch of other ones.
Just check out Dani's website. She'll have all the information you could need. All right, so Steve, final thoughts to all the budding entrepreneurs out there.
I think it's a great time to get in business. I think anytime you get a major disruption in the market, the status quo is kind of pushed aside. It's fertile ground for new ideas. These new social media networks are coming in, so entrepreneurs can access directly millions of customers if what they're putting out is authentic and it's sustainable. I think the customers, the market out there does not need any more shticks or gimmicks or things that aren't going to work. But I think if you've got something real, it's a great time. People are, when they really start rethinking how they spend money, they get more directed. And if you've got something real, it'll direct, some of that money will direct towards you.
Steve, but you've decided, have you not to pass the business on to your kids. Why not?
I did make that decision. When I analyze people that have been successful with businesses, it seems like you can save your family and the well-being of your family, or you save the business. It's very difficult to do both. And the last thing, I have 3 adorable teenage girls. I don't want them fighting over a hot dog, 20, 30 years from now. I want them enjoying each other, having conversations, learning how to give back and do the right thing, not worrying about the business. And they're smart and intelligent, way more than I was at their age. They're going to have a great time figuring out what it is they want to do with their lives.
And the odds of you having kids that have the passion for hot dogs and bacon, right, or for any other product. My family had a business too. The next generation didn't have the same passion for it. They sold it as well. So it seems to be a very smart decision at the end of the day.
We'll see.
None of your girls want to go into the
hot dog business?
No, not yet.
The natural and organic. What's your next product, though, quickly? What are you expanding?
We're doing a lot of gluten-free products. There are an increasing number of kids that are very diet sensitive, and they really need products, and the moms need to know that the things that could put their kid at risk dietetically are not in the product. So gluten-free, nuggets are a good example.
Any new distribution channels? Any new markets?
We will continue
expanding there.
Well, the concern we have is school lunch, and so what we're most interested in doing is getting a healthy nugget and a healthy hot dog into food service, which is not really our channel. We sell mostly through retail, so we'd love to get some healthy products into the school lunch systems.
How the government can help you grow your business.
They could definitely help.
There you go. Steve, it was great to see you. We want to thank you and everybody who were with us this hour. Becca Braun, president of Jumpstart Ventures, and Stephen McDonald, president of Applegate Farms. The website, applegatefarms.com.
Right.
Look for his products. It's a whole host of things. They're just delicious and yummy. And, of course, Dani and John, they're sticking around for the next hour.
And check out our next hour. We're throwing the pitch out, and instead we're going to be selling it. And it's summertime. and the kids are swimming, and they're getting wet, and they are wearing the most comfortable pants I've ever seen in my life. And I wish I had a pair. We'll be right back.
Live from New York City, this is Your Questions, Your Money. And for folks watching from home or wherever you might be, that was a pigeon.
Look at it. I love it. It's there it's there all the time, too.
You're looking
it's
live.
Sitting on top of our camera.
Can I do a Shepard Smith? You're looking live. Times Square, New York City, and the butt of a pigeon. Hey, everybody. I'm Jacob McDowell along with Tracy Burns. This hour is about you stimulating this economy all by ourselves by starting a business or growing the one that you already run.
So put down your coffee or fill it up. I love that he says that because he does say that all the time. And the butt of a pigeon. Call us, 877-249-9626. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
Our next guest, this is going to be the hottest hour of the entire show.
I'm never going to eat. I'm never going to eat again,
I can feel it. Our next guest has gone from being a supermodel, and now she is one of the hottest swimwear designers, to the stars and to you. Joining us now, these are just some of the photos of Susan Holmes Swimwear. Susan Holmes McKagan is the founder of Susan Holmes Swimwear. Susan, it's great of you to be here. Tracy and I are so excited. We're a little nervous. We both wore black. I wore black, so I was trying to look slim today. Susan, it's great of you to be here. Susan.
Wow. Well, it's great to be here. Thanks, Dagan and Tracy. I really appreciate it.
I think it's an amazing story because you go from supermodel and you know, it's almost like the athletes of the world. You live in large. Everything is great. You're wearing Versace. You're on the runways, and you really got to think about the next stage of your life. And that's exactly what you did. And you start sewing bathing suits at the age of 17, and you didn't forget that. And then you parlay that. Can you just tell us your story a little bit?
Sure. Yes, I always had a passion for fashion, and I was very blessed. I had a wonderful career in modeling and traveling and having the opportunities of working with fantastic designers from, Yves Saint Laurent to Calvin Klein, and I wasn't modeling quite as much. I was actually pregnant, and I still wanted to do something creative and have my own business and try my luck on the other side of the fence. And so there I was pregnant, and I wasn't modeling as much, and so I thought, gosh, I want to do something with designing, what I had always thought about since I was 17, and then I just kind of put thought to motion. I had this great idea and plan, and I saw it slowly come to life, and it's just really exciting.
Susan, why did you pick swimwear? As Tracy pointed out, you were, when you were growing up in San Diego, you started making your own swimwear, being, on the beach. But why did you pick swimwear to go into when you experienced the entire world of fashion? Was it just because, did it seem easier to you, and did that turn out to be the case?
Yes, it did seem to me to be a bit easier because it's more of a seasonal product, swimwear, and I wanted to incorporate my background of being a California girl with fashion, and it seemed like a nice way to sort of break into the business from the designer's aspect versus modeling. And I was in California, and they're more known for their sort of laid-back fashions rather than their more sophisticated haute couture. So I thought that would be more fitting of where I was living at the time.
I love that you did this while you were pregnant. You're sitting home pregnant. I mean, I have 3 kids. I know what it's like. You're sitting there like, God, I got to do something in my life, as opposed to just like incubate this child. And then you were able to parlay all the contacts you've made through modeling now into your swimwear, because just about everybody in the world is wearing your suits. You're on, they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimwear swim catalog every single time. How did you do that? How did you approach these people and say, here I am now, as opposed to offering you my fabulous body, I'm offering you my fabulous swimwear.
Oh, thanks. I just, I was trying to live the American dream. I worked really hard. I put together samples, and I took photographs of them, and I made press releases, and I sent them out to every store owner, editor, stylist, celebrity, modeling friend that I possibly knew. And I built a website, and I made sure it was on as many search engines as possible. I hired a publicist to launch the line. I really was a go-getter, and I had this vision and dream, and the more that I would see, generate some sales or some wonderful editorial or a beautiful Sports Illustrated cover, the more it inspired me and gave me the confidence to keep going and growing forward with the business.
Susan, we're going to have to take a quick break in just a second, but there's so many parts of your story that I know Tracy and I want to explore further in terms of giving back, how much of your money that you give to charity, also making the swimsuits here in the United States. Again, we want to know about what the next step is for your business, so just sit tight because it's 6 minutes after the hour, and we need to welcome our radio listeners on Sirius and XM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns.
And we are talking about that entrepreneurial spark that you have in you, starting your own business, running your business, and we want to hear from you. So email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. And, of course, you can always call us, 877-249-9626.
Go ahead.
Well, Susan, Dagan brought up this fabulous point that you give 15% of your proceeds back. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I enjoy giving back. I've been very blessed with a wonderful career in modeling, and now as a designer. And I've always learned since the beginning of being a businesswoman that it's important to thrive and grow and become a strong business, but it's also extremely important to give back. And this is a wonderful way for me to give back. I'm involved in various charities like Project Angel Food and the Surfrider Foundation, and it's fantastic on so many levels because you're truly helping those more in need, and also on a more of a business sense, it's also good because it keeps you under a certain tax bracket as well too. Right. So it's sort of a win-win situation, and it's just great.
Susan, what's next? Where do you want to grow the business? Because you do cover-ups, you do bathing suits. What's next? What are you thinking about?
Oh gosh, I'm always constantly thinking of where I want to continue to grow and expand, and I'd love to do children's suits. My daughters, Grace and May, are just always like, Mommy, you have to design suits for us. And they're always so cute and inspiring me. And of course, I'd like to evolve more into a lifestyle type of line with more resort wear and sundresses, and expand further there. And who knows where this will take me. I'd also like to be more, I'd love to be at like Target or, a store, big store that I enjoy shopping at too. So, right.
Susan, just to backtrack a bit, you were 16 when you were discovered in a restaurant in Manhattan. Is that true?
Yes, yeah, wow, you guys really did your research. I'm so impressed. Thank you.
Can you tell us quickly how that happens? Because that, to me, is dumbfounding.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was my first trip to New York City, and I remember I was eating in this teensy tiny little, very beautiful restaurant, and I believe there's something like 10 tables there, and lo and behold, at the table next to me was a very famous fashion photographer. His name's Marco Glaviano, and he was sitting with Jodie Foster, and I think he could see, that I was, I guess, model-esque, if that's a word. And,
yeah, that's the word.
Susan, so that's your model.
That's it. Legs till Tuesday. That's model-esque.
Yeah. So you know, and he approached me, and my mom was with me, and he kindly said, hey, are you a model? If not, I'd love for you to see, you know, Eileen Ford tomorrow morning, and blah, blah, blah. And then one thing led to the next thing, and before I knew it, you know, I was living in Paris and modeling and learning a lot about becoming a designer today. So it's a great story. I'm very
lucky.
And it was
really a year later, bam, you're on the cover. Like,
unbelievable.
It's wild.
Susan, I have a bit of a confession to make to you. In all the many, many jobs that I've had over the years through high school and college, after college, I actually had to work in a store in the dressing room selling bathing suits to people.
Oh, is that right?
I was the dressing room attendant where the women came in with their bathing suits, and there is really no harder job than that on the planet, I think. And so I look at your website, and the women on your site, including yourself, are just breathtaking and stunning. So how do you get past selling beyond people who have perfect figures? What do you say to them, and what do you do in terms of marketing?
Well, that's a really intelligent question. I mean, first of all, I don't think anybody has, you know, the perfect physique. So everybody is going through all those tough swimsuit trying on questions in their mind. And I mean, there's so many different types of suits out there on the market now that suit every type of body type. And, you know, you just got to try on different ones and sure, ask the sales girl what she thinks, or, you know, get a friend's opinion. And also, the dressing room lights aren't always the most flattering, so keep that in mind.
Oh, no, they're not. So did you lie to everyone and say they look good?
No, the interesting thing about bathing suits is you're right, nobody is ever satisfied with the way they look. I don't care how unbelievable they look in a suit. I would, you know, turn the lights off in the dressing room. It wasn't pitch black, but, you know, you're just trying to improve the appearance.
Because the purple fluorescent seemed to just zone in on the back of your legs all the time. The cellulite on the back of your legs.
No, but I can see Susan going into stores that sell her suits and telling them, you have to change the lighting in the dressing room.
I would.
I agree. Absolutely. Maybe we should start a petition on that.
Susan, thank you. And by the way, we haven't even told people who you're married to.
Oh, yeah. I gotta show that off a little, right?
Where is he?
I'm married to one of the most wonderful men in the world.
Tell the viewers who you're married to.
Sure. Well, my gorgeous and fabulous husband is Duff McKagan, and he's just a superstar in so many aspects. He's a wonderful husband, father, and, of course, he also happens to be, well, a rock star.
That.
Guns N' Roses.
He's amazing.
Grammy
What can I say?
Velvet Revolver.
Fabulous.
Loaded. You name
Loaded.
it.
Smart.
Yes. Guns N' Roses. I mean, he's
that little band called Guns N' Roses.
And he writes a column for Playboy right now. Financial column for Playboy.
Writes for Seattle Weekly.
They got it going on out there in Seattle.
That's right. All right, so Susan, you're going to be with us the whole hour. Thank you. It's so great of you to be here. So a full hour. Well,
thanks.
A little more than 45 minutes left of your questions. So please call us. Please email us. We want to hear from you.
And if you have a question for Susan or any of our panelists, give us a call, 877-249-9626. You can always email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Remember, this is the only business network where on Saturdays you can talk about your bathing suit shopping experiences.
Welcome back. Time to bring in our panel of experts here to answer your questions about your business. This hour, of course, Susan Holmes McKagan is staying with us for the whole hour. Laura Reese is here, a branding expert with Reese & Reese. And, of course, they're here and they're fired up. John Rutledge with Rutledge Capital and Dani Babb with the Babb Group. Dani, before we move on, I know you have a question for Susan.
I do. Susan, about
maybe 5% of the people that send me an email have a business question. They want to know how to start. They have designs, and they've got lots of things that they've designed, and they've put them on models, and they don't have the background that you have in terms of the exposure, and they want to know how to get into that market. A lot of them put their clothing online. I've had Head to Heart has been doing a lot of work on their website and so on, and they're trying to figure out how to get that first pop. What advice do you have for the people that don't have your background?
Well, I would advise, I think the internet is a great route. I mean, first of all, it's where a lot of people go to look at new designs and fashion, and you can create a buzz on the net, and it's a low overhead expense. I think that's great. I think that your press release out to these people personally is equally as important. I think that, you know, you have to stand out. What are you bringing to the table that might be different? What is your niche that is, you know, in demand right now? What are you offering that might not be out there already? And highlight that, you know, whether it's a mailing format or on the net, telling your friends. I mean, good old-fashioned word of mouth is always great, too.
What kind of home run did you hit when you get a big celebrity to put something on? So you get a, you know, luck would have it, a Beyonce or somebody like that to wear one of your products. I mean, is that kind of all it takes?
Well, yes. In this day and age, it's extremely important to have celebrity endorsement. I mean, I've been very blessed. You know, I've had like Kate Hudson and Elle McPherson wearing my line. And, you know, sometimes all it takes is that one celebrity to, you know, represent it or, you know, be wearing the product, and then sure enough it catches on, and then all the other celebrities like it too. Or, you know, there's various gift lounges that you can sign up for at various events.
Right.
I know with my line, yeah, I know with my line, my niche is sort of in the rock and roll or music. So, you know, you could do a gifting lounge at the MTV Awards, or, you know, if you're a sporting line and you're doing yoga-inspired wear, then, you know, you would cater it or hone it into that direction.
Right.
So there's a lot of great opportunities out there.
Nothing's impossible either. We want to get to the phones. Nikki has called in from Oklahoma. Nikki, go ahead. What do you want to know?
Hi. Thank you for having me. My name is Nikki with Professionally Written. And my question is, well, we've been in business for 2 years, and we've done remarkably well, much better than what I expected. But in that, I still hold a 9 to 5. And so at what point could you recommend that I just ditch it and just go full force and jump right in and, you know, do my business full time? Right now, I'm smart enough and savvy enough where I've hired people, trustworthy people, to operate the business when I can't be there. But there's nothing like the owner being totally 100% involved. And again, it's much better than what I've ever expected. But I just don't know whether I'm ready just to go ditch the whole 9 to 5. What is your advice?
John, we've talked about this before, that it's a really smart move to basically hold down 2 jobs for a while until you get yourself to a point where you can make the dive. When do you know you're ready to just ditch the 9 to 5er and go, you know, full force into your entrepreneurial gig?
Well, I think, Nikki, it's really a question of cash, because it's good to have the security of a paycheck while you can get something started in the rest of your time. If your business is really successful, it'll be spinning off cash. You can pile up as much of that as possible, and when you get enough cash where you can breathe when you're running that business, then I think you make the leap. But Dani, you've actually done this. When did you jump off?
Well, there were 2 times. I've done this several times, but in one instance, it was when my business was suffering because I couldn't grow it any longer because I was not involved as much as I needed to be, and I found myself sneaking off to Starbucks as often as I could during my day job for 15 minutes just to go do things really fast. So that was one indicator. It was stifling my business growth. And then the other one was when my income was sufficient to cover my bills, I bailed out of there, and that was the very last time that I held down a corporate America job, and haven't looked back since.
We gotta go to
Cover your bills, go with your gut. As we go to commercial, we want to give a shout out to our radio listeners on Sirius Channel 145 and XM 168. Thanks for listening.
And coming up, we're gonna sell it. Look at these darling children. Don't you just want to throw those
I just love
pants
these
on at
pants.
the beach?
Look, and there's bags and skirt.
That's
so
next.
cute.
That's next.
He's got everything that a girl's wanting. Guitar cutie, he plays it groovy, and I can't keep myself from doing something stupid. Think I'm really falling for you.
Your questions, your money. I'm Daga McDowell. This is Tracy Burns, and Carolyn is on the phone from Maryland. Carolyn, go ahead, ask your question.
Yes, I want to know, how do I find a reputable manufacturer here in America to produce my denim line?
Susan, Susan, how did you find a manufacturer to make your swimwear?
Let's see. I believe I went to the Garment Contractors Association of California, or whichever state you're in, and they have a very, professional, legitimate list of resources there for you to check out. And, go there, drive there, meet with the owner of the business, see what you're looking at, get a feeling for if, it's someone you want to be in business with. So,
are you all in America? Everything is made in America for your suits?
Well, the majority of my suits are made in America. Yeah, I try and keep as much in the States with manufacturing as possible. I think that's extremely rare nowadays.
Sure is.
I mean, I know the majority of my competitors outsource overseas and China, and I like it for a number of reasons. I like to keep it in America because, I'm hiring Americans and giving more jobs,
right.
and
That's great.
and then it allows me to keep a real keen eye and quality control, and keeps my shipping prices down, and
right, and it keeps it close to home.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, on Carolyn, on entrepreneur.com, there's a forum specifically for people that are interested in the fashion industry, and there's people in there that basically help each other out and try and find everything from manufacturers to designers to, you name it, for marketing tips and so on. So I would check that out. And also remember that people who have been successful in business often love to share their ideas and concepts and how they've been successful with other people. So I would call the marketing department, the R&D department, call anybody that you can at these businesses that you like that have been successful, and ask them how they've done it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Laura, I want to bring John, were you getting in here? Were you going to say something?
Oh, well, I was just going to suggest that the bulk of the capacity to do what Carolyn wants to do is actually in South Carolina. South Carolina, through their Chamber of Commerce, has an extraordinary capacity to connect up manufacturers with designers. And in particular, in Columbia, South Carolina, there's a company called Stone International. The head of that company is an old friend of mine. He used to run the marketing for Levi Strauss long ago.
Wow.
And he knows every one of those guys. What I'd do is I would dial up, lob in a phone message there, and say, do you know a manufacturer for me? These guys are all pulling together to try and keep each other in business, and Columbia is really the heart of it.
Laura, really quickly, we were talking about made in the USA. Is that, because you're branding and marketing, how is that a real hook you can use if you are getting into the fashion business?
Oh, absolutely. There's an enormous advantage to being an all-American. And particularly these tough times, people are appreciating that you are giving jobs and having a product that has the Made in America tag on it. So that really can help you in a long way. It also, the other flip side is, having the cheapest product on the market, and usually that requires being made overseas, is also a direction and can lead to a very successful brand. Doesn't necessarily have to be made in America, but if you are made in America, you want to be sure to point that out because there are a lot of consumers who will appreciate it.
Keep those calls and emails a-coming, 877-249-9626. Why are you giggling at me?
Just giggling. It's Saturday. I'm giggling. It's 1:30. We're having a blast. yourmoney@foxbusiness.com is the email. This is the Fox Business Network, the only business network talking bathing suits on a Saturday. Stay with us.
there.
I love your stuff.
Frida, Dani.
Tracy Burns.
I'm Dagan.
Yes,
Frida.
Dani.
We're having a good time here.
We're just welcoming our guest.
It's
Everybody,
Saturday.
your questions, your money. Welcome back. We're throwing, again, we get excited, right? We're throwing out the pitch today in favor of selling it. We get a lot of questions from viewers who have a product or a service that they want to take to the next level. So today we have some answers. But first, take a look at the product. Hit it, kids.
How cute are they? We should point out these are our producer's children. And they're wearing these fabulous pants. Come on, honey. Look, little spin, girls. She's wearing a skirt. We got bags. If I could be wearing these pants right now, I'd be so happy.
Okay, our entrepreneurs, the women behind these adorable terry cloth outfits are Frida Bateman and Elaine McClung, the founders of Kiki's Gear. Welcome, ladies. We've assembled a great panel of people. But let's just hear, I want to hear about the business and what you're looking to accomplish with it. Well, we started the business about 5 years ago. Our children swim, and it was a nice, convenient item that they could put on as soon as they were done with swimming. Currently, we design, we cut, and we sew all of our products ourselves. As you can see, our pants are made with one side being bright-colored beach towel, velour, terry cloth, and they're matched with a different color leg. The shorts and the pants will have a cargo pocket on them, which is convenient for being able to put things in. And then we do two different kinds of skirts. One style is what this lovely little girl is wearing here. And then we also have a different style skirt that we do, which has got a little ruffle on the bottom. We've targeted our local swim teams in the area. We've gone to country clubs. We've also been invited to some PTA fundraisers that we sell our products to. Originally, when we created the product, it was about functionality because it was they're functional. They're great for being around a pool or being at the beach or on a boat. But what we've noticed over the past 5 years is they're very fashionable, and the kids love wearing them. They love wearing them even outside a swimming environment, taking them to camp or things like that. Who makes them?
We do. We do. And my mom and my aunt.
But this is how the business started, right?
Yes.
Your sister passed from because of ovarian cancer.
Yes.
Your mom needed something to do. She was always sewing. She was a seamstress.
Her whole life.
Her whole life. Needed to rejuvenate herself. And you guys said, let's do this.
Well, actually, I said, Mom, I want to make some pants for the girls out of these towels. And she said, that's going to make a big mess. And I said, I know, but it's great. So we started making them.
This is way better than when I was a kid. My mother made us clothes out of curtains. She's watching right now. This is why I got issues. I wore curtains. Pants are much better.
What do you
Towels,
want to know?
much better.
What is the next step? What do you want to know from our?
Okay, well, we're stuck at the production end. Our product has been in such high demand, and we're just targeted a very small market that we've actually had to turn people away because we can't keep up with the production because we're making them ourselves. So we're stuck at that level. We're stuck at how do we get to, mass producing these items, being able to offer them on the internet. The towel industry, if you're not ordering tens of thousands, it's kind of hard to get in.
Dani, do you want to jump in here first?
Well, I have. Do you have a web presence at all right now?
We have a website that will just tell you where we're going to be. So if someone's interested in finding us, it'll say we'll be at the Rye Golf Club on Tuesday selling. So that's basically what our website says right now.
So what you're looking for is how to take the scale that you have and ramp it up and do some sort of mass production. Are you looking at keeping it here? Do you want to outsource this? Do you want to bring people into your own shop and do it here?
We're open to either way, we don't want to continue making them ourselves forever. I mean, our mother is 75, and
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, sewing away, and it's a foot-pedaled machine too. It's not even electric, but
wow.
So we are looking to outsource it, maybe have somebody else make them, but we'd like to keep it here.
Their issue dovetails with what our last caller asked, was how do you figure out how to mass produce this clothing?
And still have some control,
yeah.
To be able to design the that type of style rather than it be not fun.
Yeah, I mean, Susan had some great advice for that in the last segment, but, you know, basically going to garment industries, going to associations, going to forums and websites where other people are already doing this and getting advice from them on how they ramped up. There are a lot of people that have taken production like you've done and brought it to a larger scale. I'm sure that John has some ideas about how to take this to a larger scale that, you know, with experience in this industry that I don't have.
That's what
I love them.
Once upon a time in another life, I was one of the investors and owners of a company called Umbro that made soccer wear.
We know it.
And I spent a lot of time in this industry. Look, there are some very complicated regulations and laws involving producing garments in different parts of the world. The guys that I was talking about in South Carolina have spent a lot of time scoping those out and figuring out what you can get done here onshore and what you have to do offshore, which in your case would probably be in various Caribbean locations where the capacity is. The smartest man in the world on this question is named Jack Stone. He's the fellow I was talking about earlier. He's the chairman of Stone International. They're in Columbia, South Carolina. You can find their phone number. He's a dear friend. Lob in a phone message, tell him John sent you. He will direct you, I'm quite sure, to somebody in the industry who has the opposite problem, which means they're trying to find ways of using their capacity so they can keep their businesses running. And you need someone who's able to help bring you together with the other side. Your partner there is not going to be a towel company. It's going to be a garment maker who buys the cloth from the gray goods industry. So I'd be looking for someone there who can do this. And if you send me an email, I'll forward it on to Jack for you if you'd like.
Oh, you got to do that. Laura, what do you think?
Well, here, we have a typical situation where you have a startup and you do everything yourself, and you can't do that forever. I think really here, they're not, you know, production experts. They got to find a partner who they trust, who can take over that to find where the best place is to make them and to make the best quality at the best price. For them, they've got to focus on the branding. They've got to be in charge of marketing. That is such an important part. And I didn't catch the name. What is the name of the brand?
It's called Kiki's.
Kiki's. Okay, great. Well, it is a unique name because really, in the end, whether or not it's going to succeed is going to be based on word of mouth. And people have to say the name, remember the name, find the website, find the store. The great success initially, of course, of Crocs was that. A totally different product. And here you have the same thing. Clothes made out of towels. Wow! I mean, who would have thought of that? But really fantastic. Again, they focused on one sector of the market. You don't want to go after everybody. Very good to focus on a swimmer. My son's a swimmer, and I can tell that I need these pants for him. And again, be wary of expansion. You, like Crocs, got into trouble, might even go bankrupt because they went after everybody. They were very hot to begin. They went too many styles, adults, old people, young people, kids, forget it. Stay focused, I think, for quite a while on these kids because, you know, dads are going to look silly in these things.
Susan, advice for Eleni and Frida. Because, again, I don't know if you've got a return feed or not. I don't know if you can see what these clothes look like, but they're pretty spectacular.
They sound really adorable. I think my best advice for them at this point in juncture would be there are factories out there that do produce or manufacture smaller lines. Sort of, it sounds like a large sample line, especially in this economy. There's more and more people looking for work. I think you just, you know, you have to research and meet with these people, and sounds like it's going great. You're growing, you're ramping up, and you're expanding, and you just need some more help.
And you went to your state industry association to help initially locate a producer who could manufacture your swimsuits.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
And I made sure, you know, they were reputable and credentialed in you know, I make swimwear. That's all they do. Their forte is swimwear. They've been in business since 1964, et cetera, et cetera. So check out their background and
Well, because it's just so,
we should say
everybody should.
Liam sees himself on the TV monitor.
Better. He wasn't feeling great.
He's 2.5, and he's recovering from an earache.
And believe it or not, he has shorts on, even though they're all the way down to his ankles. They are shorts.
Ladies, do you want to tell everybody what your names are before we go? Martin. Probably going to kick that out.
I think it's the funniest thing.
So, all right, well, we want to thank Frida Bateman and Eleni McClung. Kiki's Gear.
Kiki's Gear.
Ramp up that website.
So ramp up I was just going to say that. Put the product on the website. Ramp it up. We can link to it. These guys will link to it. John and Dani are awesome about that kind of stuff. And get in touch with John. He's going to help you manufacturing-wise.
Great.
All right, and remember, if you have a product you want to sell, let us know about it. It could be an opportunity of a lifetime. You can get some great expert advice for free. So email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com, and you could be pitching or selling your idea with us here next week on the air.
Keep those questions coming. The countdown is on about 20 minutes left. 877-249-9626, or email us at yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
You're watching Fox Business. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. We got like 18 minutes left, so get your questions and your calls in. We got an email from David in Utah. He writes, I have an opportunity to branch off my painting company with Home Depot. I will be servicing 17 stores in the Salt Lake City area and need to come up with money for equipment. I can't get a line of credit, and SBA won't work for me. Is it wise to borrow from my 401k? Dani, I would like to say no, but please give him other options.
At least it's his money.
Exactly. If you can borrow it from yourself and pay yourself interest, I would be in favor of it. But first, I would find out if you can get this equipment from used. From sites like Craigslist, I was actually reading today about auction sites where companies that are going out of business are auctioning off their equipment. So check eBay, check Craigslist, look for out of your area. Even people that are willing to ship you equipment, used equipment. I would look at all of that before you go buy anything new. Even that's going to require some capital, but it will require far less than maybe what you're thinking.
One even step beyond that, in the same direction Dani's talking about. The industry is in such tough times right now. There are a lot of people that already own equipment that would like to sell it but are not able to sell it. If you go to some of those people and say, look, I can use your equipment in my business, but I don't have any revenues yet. I'll give you a percentage of the revenues I collect by doing jobs with your equipment. You can actually bring it in and not pay anybody and and share some of the money with them until later when you get the cash flow to buy the stuff off Craigslist or even new.
Yeah, so we barter. Lots of bartering.
I have a quick question for Dani. Dani, should you try and borrow the money from friends and family before you tap your own money?
No, not in my opinion. Friends and family, from my experience and what I hear from most people, has been a nightmare. Sometimes it works out, but friends and family always they expect something more. If you do run into failure or trouble, they're not as forgiving. It can create a lot of family tension. I try to keep business and personal separate in that regard, not commingle funds. Maybe help each other out in other ways. So I don't think so. If you have the money yourself, I think you should grab it. And on home equity line of credit, that would be even better.
Credit unions are lending too.
Yes, there are.
In many instances, findacreditunion.com. I think about a third of credit unions make small business loans, so that's another avenue to go down. Kirby writes, I'm looking for a website or company to fund $15,000 to add to my funds to start a business. Any thoughts or suggestions? Well, website, Dani.
Well, first of all, I would determine if you can even knock that down further. $15,000 is not that much money. So the first thing I would do is look in your own home and see what you don't need anymore that maybe you can sell. rate a closet, rate a kitchen, start selling some things on eBay. So I would check that out. I would also go to some of the sites like we've talked about before, like Virgin Money, where people are making loans to each other. The interest is high, but on $15,000, it's not that much. But I would really try to figure out why you need this extra $15,000. What can be scaled back first before you go for it? And then after that, community banks, that small of an amount of money, if you're not showing that you're paying yourself a salary, you might be able to get from a community banker.
Susan, you're in the process of expanding your business into other areas. Are you finding issues with this whole credit mess, or are you self-funding your business? Can you just tell us a little bit about how you're doing it?
I'm personally a self-funded business. I understand. I know that the government is tightening, lending out money. I just always try and not overproduce. Right now in this particular year, retail's been hit really hard, so I've scaled back a little, and my collection is maybe 25, 30 pieces versus 45, 50, so therefore I have less expenses with labor and material. Just try and keep the costs down and keep a mindful eye on the budget.
You're connected too, Susan, to retailers across this country. What are you seeing in terms of their willingness to stock your products? Because they're all struggling as well.
Yes, that's a very valid point. Well, I know, you've kind of, as a wholesaler, I've had to wager a little bit more, certainly, than I have ever before in the past. But I know that it's all, due to what's going on right this very second, and I know it's slowly starting to increase. Sales are increasing. Stores are slowly getting busier and busier. And, you just want to keep your business simmering and not, overspend on your materials and expenses. And I'm focusing a lot on selling online. My overhead expenses there are very minimal as a result.
Right, which is exactly what Kiki should be doing. We got to get those girls online. All right, we're going to hop to an email. We got Mike. He writes in saying, I'm thinking of starting a business. Is it easy to get government grants? And how do I go about it?
If you're a minority business owner, it's a little easier to get grants, but in general, no, it's not. Grants.gov gives you a pretty good overview. Finance.gov/grants and business.gov/grants all have it. And then I've got about 30 other resources listed on my own website, drdanibabb.com, under forums, with the resources for the grants. But no, they're not that easy to get unless you're either in green technology or you're writing iPhone applications. So unfortunately, it's not that easy.
John, you spit fire when you start talking about the government, but if the money's out there, why not take it? Yes or no?
Yeah, if you can get when you want to start a business, take the money from anywhere you can get it. But the most important thing is people who bring business plans to us and say, help me start my business, they always have a number in mind. They don't need that much money. If they say they need $160,000, they probably need $30,000 or $40,000. Find every possible way of using other people's money, other business partners' money, selling your closet, selling your garage, the stuff Dani talked about. Get the nut down. The last business we actually helped put together finally got the money from her mom, from a home equity line, and third, a little bit from a small bank. You also don't have to get all the money you need from one place. You can get $1 here, $2 there, and $5 there. But if you want it bad enough, you'll take the money at the end of the day.
But she also had to write herself out of the business plan, which was, John and I had helped her work on that. That was vital to her getting a loan from a bank.
Very important.
With yourself in the business plan, the bank looks like they're loaning you money to give to you. And so you don't want to put yourself in the business plan when you go to these banks.
That's
take yourself
out. That is a very good point.
Great advice. Sam has written in from San Diego. And I love this. I convert gasoline cars to battery power and need a source for lithium-ion batteries. Know any companies that you think I could turn to? John Rutledge?
First place I would go to look is I would call Johnson Controls, which is based in Milwaukee. Johnson Controls produces, I think, I think they buy 60% of the lead in the world to produce car batteries. They're all over the new technologies. They're not going to be your supplier, but they're going to probably know who is. So I'd lob in a call there, and it sounds like a great business.
I was looking at Zero Motorcycles. The founder of Zero Motorcycles was on, and he invented the battery technology in those motorcycles. So, and I know that he licenses that technology out. That might be a good resource as well.
Yeah, I don't remember the company that he was using, but he was a very nice guy and was actually wanting to help other entrepreneurs. So I would go to his website and email him.
It's zeromotorcycles.com, and we'll get you his name when we come back, everybody.
That's good stuff. All right, if you have to run out, please listen to us on the radio, Sirius Channel 145 and XM 168.
Right back with some final thoughts. Stay with us.
Hey, welcome back. All right, we have a few minutes left. We're going to get some final thoughts from our panel. Susan, I'm going to toss it out to you first. What advice do you have for budding entrepreneurs out there who got a product in mind and they want to take it and run with it?
Well, that's great. That's the first step, getting an idea and a plan, and you're passionate about something. I think then you'd want to orchestrate a business plan and have a great narrative, including your key people and what you project your sales expenses and income are, your demographic. And then once you have the funding and the idea, then, you've got the mechanics and you can move forward. And I would, try and market it as much as possible. That's, you can't emphasize how important marketing is. Getting it online, getting it on as many search engines as possible, continually sending out great press releases with photos and, a publicist. Just word of mouth, calling people, meeting people. You can't ask enough questions to other, similar business owners.
Right. And
what they've learned over the years.
And Laura, when you start your business, you need to start thinking about the brand from day one, right?
Absolutely. And Susan is a great example of the power of celebrity. We live in a celebrity-driven world. And if you are a celebrity, it makes it an awful lot easier to get money, to get PR, to get, meetings, to sell your stuff in stores. It goes a long way, believe me. I think she had a much easier job than other people. But it is important because the brand is important and the PR is important. And if you have celebrity, and if you don't have celebrity, you got to get out there, be first in something, and get yourself in the media, in the papers, in the newspapers, and on the television.
But I think, Dani, you can get in here, but I think Susan's story is really that you can still get your clothes and your goods in the hands of celebrities as one way of many of marketing it, regardless of whether you yourself are famous or not.
Yeah, you can, but the problem here is that the celebrities are bombarded with, Armani and Gucci and so on, bringing them free things and even paying them to wear it in some cases. So I don't necessarily, most people listening out there would not have a clue how to get a hold of most celebrities and get them to wear it. So I think one of the keys here, and one of the things I'm hearing a lot from people in feedback, John and I are both hearing this, is I need money for inventory so I can start selling stuff. I think one of the things we all need to remember is in this online world, what we can do is have our vendors do drop shipping, not have inventory, reduce the cost, streamline things. If the cap and trade tax passes through, having a business in your home is going to be the best tax advantage. So let's try to work with all the things that are coming down the pipeline, make our businesses successful anyway.
But John, isn't it about quality of product? You can make as many bathing suits as you want. You can be a top celebrity, but if they're crappy suits, I'm not buying it.
It's about making a promise to your customer that you will always keep no matter what. Mm-hmm. That promise could be a high-priced, high-fashion suit. It could be a low-cost product. Mm-hmm. But whatever brand you're building with that consumer is really a handshake with a consumer that you will always follow through on your promise. And I love our viewers. Our viewers are the ones that built this country, and they're continuing to do it. They know starting a business is hardball. It is not a game for wussies. I mean, many times you want to quit, but these are people that really are willing to follow through and do what they say.
And that's why we're here for them each and every week, to say don't give up, regardless of every mistake that the government makes or might make down the road.
Or continue to make. Right.
That you can just stick to it. We want to thank our panel this day, this hour, especially Susan Holmes McKagan of Susan Holmes Swimwear. SusanHolmes.net is the website. We can't say that enough.
Yep.
Susan, thank you so much for being here. Next time, you have to be in New York City with us.
That's right. You got to be on set.
Laura Reese, John Rutledge, and Dani Babb, thank you for watching. Tracy Burns and I will be back next week. See you then.